Hey guys, welcome back, Maverick here, and today we're going to be watching episode 4 of BEASTARS. So, last episode, even though Lewis managed to hold on till the very end of his performance, it seems that his injury has finally caught up to him, and I think it's a pretty good bet to say he's not going to be performing in the second day, right? Now, how exactly is that going to relate to the whole story, and probably, perhaps more importantly, what is Legoshi gonna do about it? Like, what's his role in all this? That remains to be seen, right? It's fairly obvious he's not going to be able to just go in and take up the mantle of the main character. After all, he's not even an actor yet. So how exactly does this relate with the whole story? Don't really know. In any case, let's just get right into the episode. Alright, I skipped the opening, which was at the beginning for this episode, and let's just get into the actual story in 3, 2, 1, play. Let the Holy Grail soak. Sparing the moon. Nice pun there. Well, typically, with newspaper clubs, you can just go ask to do like a behind the scenes interview or something. At least that's how it's normally supposed to work. For the clubs, anyway. Fractured. Oh, I think for him, he's much more concerned with what to do tomorrow. Hmm. Is he able to do it though? Seems pretty good. Wait, what? Oh, what? What? Okay, so I thought Legacy was in charge of the lighting. That's fairly important. If he's never... It's your natural capabilities. Yeah, so even though Lewis did tell them to go full power, they really can't go full power because of innate differences between carnivores and herbivores. Negoshi's probably thinking, I'm not going to go all full out. I'll just try to lose on purpose, I'll bet. Now, why are you able to think the way you do? Hmm. Obviously, I'm expecting something to happen, but with this kind of conversation here, what can happen? Yeah, that must be a lot of pressure. Lewis? This is actually quite wholesome and everything. Like, again, I don't really understand what's going to happen here. Did he eat meat? Yeah, meat. Oh, rabbit blood. Okay. Huh. Does this have something to do with how Legacy was acting in the first in the beginning? I guess it unleashes the wildness of these carnivores. Hmm. I guess in Bill's mind, unleashing his wildness will give out a much more powerful performance. I assume that's why he's trying to do this. I think it will have the unintended side effect of him turning, getting into a berserk. And probably it's going to come down to Legoshi to stop him. See, that's something that I feel like Lewis, even though that is wisdom, he's sort of adding more pressure onto him. And now he's going to try to. Hmm. Ooh. What? Seriously? At least it's something that the audience has never seen before. Alright, Bill, you should probably also do something about this, right? Yeah, because ultimately a tiger is still stronger than a wolf. Hmm. Oh, he's breaking his rib. Or is he just carving something? Okay. Are they are they gonna still find a way to end this play? What? There's what? What happened to your leg, dude? I mean, this is definitely a pro actor. This guy's a genius. Oh, I love this. Huh. That was good. That was good. It was effing awesome. Ah, That was good. That was seriously good. Alright. See you guys after the ending. Oh, actually, I just realized that this is yet again another new ending song. So let's just watch this together in 3, 2, 1, play. But of course, I will be muting it to avoid copyright strikes. I just saw the part with the curtains and whatnot, and I thought it was the same ending song as last one, but then I realized it's not. Hmm. Like, are they seriously going to change the ending song every single episode? That is ridiculous. Ma blue, my blue. Mm, not bad. Alrighty. Well, I gotta say, I'm getting more and more impressed by BEASTARS with every single episode. Like, just the ending part there. Obviously, I'm not talking about the ending song, I'm talking about the ending of the actual episode. But, okay, fine. Let's talk about the ending song a little bit, right? Because as far as I know, one of you guys said that every single episode will have a different ending song. If that proves to be true, wow, right? And it's not like just a case of them having a different song as well. It's a different ending animation as well. They're putting in more stuff as the series progresses and more things to reference back upon, right? So huge props to them for going this extra mile here. But no, I'm talking about the very actual ending scene where Lewis invites, he reaches out and um, helps up Legosi, right? Now, so there's two different kinds of meanings here. One is sort of like, obviously being a herbivore and a carnivore, the herbivore actually helping up the carnivore, right? Even though technically he's weaker in terms of his raw power and whatnot, at that point, there is this symbolic relationship where, it's Lewis that's the one who is more powerful, right? Not just from a raw power perspective, but overall, and helping up a carnivore, right? And then secondly would be, actually allowing Legacy to stand in the light. Right? It's been repeated many times within the anime so far that Legoshi is constantly living in the shadows, right? And now with this episode, he doesn't want to run away anymore, and it's poetic that it's actually a herbivore that's helping him to reach the stage and be under the spotlight of everyone, right? To the resounding applause of the audience. So really love that entire scene there. And it wasn't overtly dramatic or whatnot, but the music, the overall atmosphere, the lighting, two thumbs up on that scene. Um, and I guess in terms of the actual episode, it is kind of I feel like even though Bill is being made out to be the bad guy here, I don't think it's quite like that. And definitely what Lewis said was quite telling of these two, right? Bill and Legoshi are sort of like on opposite spectrums of each other. Bill, he's very proud of his power, and I think that he believes that power is everything, right? His raw stats, his raw attributes, his strength, his dexterity, his speed, yada yada, are what makes everything, right? And so he's basically very proud of his heritage and whatnot, and wants to show off this the best way that he can. And he believes that this is probably, it's probably what actually matters the most, right? Whereas Legoshi is on the opposite side of the spectrum. He's very ashamed of himself having this kind of power and whatnot. And so, Well, that's basically it, right? They're on opposite sides of the spectrum. Now, the thing here that I feel is sort of what this series is actually trying to do, and just a wild guess here, maybe the underlying philosophy behind this is that there's more to your worth than just raw power, right? But as I mentioned last episode, and through the past episodes already, there's nothing to be ashamed of. People are born with unequalness in terms of their raw capabilities, right? It's not, but the thing is that we can't just define someone just based on this one particular kind of attribute or area. And so Lewis is sort of like the embodiment of that in this case. And this sort of like the balance here between Legoshi and Bill, I think is pretty, it's definitely really interesting, right? And of course, if we go to the actual story elements as well, I like how they use rabbit blood for sort of like a stand-in for drugs, for doping, right? So if you guys recall back to the first episode, I was thinking maybe this is the work of some, with all the murders going on, with carnivores going berserk and whatnot. I felt like it was the case of some carnivore supremacists. Well, I guess I don't even want to really call them carnivore supremacists, right? Maybe they're just carnivores that are, dissatisfied with the current restriction on things and whatnot. They're this sort of artificial limitation on their wildness, on what their natural instinct wants them to do, right? So I was thinking that perhaps it's them distributing these kinds of bloods, and that's probably also what's causing people to become berserk. And it's just a wild guess here, but if that is true, then I feel like it's genius in a certain way, right? Using these sort of blood of of actual animals to a sort of a reference to drugs, and so release people's inhibitors in a sort of sense and making them go wild. I feel like it's a very apt sort of analogy here. So I did like this sort of reference here. Now, as for the actual aftermath, here's the thing though. I feel like Bill didn't actually use the rabbit blood. And in fact, I would be, to me, I think it would be a better story if he, in fact, did not use it, right? So it's sort of like, even though he's thinking about doing this kind of bad thing, right? Because he believes there is an inequality in this current society, in this current system, he still, at the very end, acknowledges that this is a bad thing, and so he's not going to do it, right? I feel like this would be much, for me anyways, it would be a much more compelling story than simply saying that, okay, so he used drugs, he's a bad guy and whatnot, and so now he's just, he's condemned to be, I don't know, kicked out of the club, kicked out of school, something of that sort, right? I feel like it would be much more interesting if it was instead, Bill and Legoshi, they're sort of, battling it out, their respective philosophies and whatnot, and trying to reach a compromise. Like, if Bill turned more into, also sort of drew in his power and acknowledges that it's not just raw power that's everything, I feel like that would also be a quite good storyline combined with all the rest of the stuff as well. And speaking of this sort of plot point, I feel like they could have maybe hammered it a little bit more home if instead we see, Bill, when he was on stage. In this case, it was a case of him sort of flubbing his lines, right? He definitely didn't show off the same charisma that Lewis did when he was in the character. But I feel like it would have maybe hammered home this idea even more if we can see Bill during his time on stage really relying on his raw strength to do everything, right? Like very big movements, very fast movements, showing off his raw speed and power, trying to impress the audience, but then the audience being unimpressed by this. And instead, it's Lewis at the very end who, just with his aura, just with his charisma, captivating the audience again. I feel like that might even drive home this idea a bit more. So it was kind of disappointing to me that they didn't actually go for this part. Then again, I could be completely wrong, and that's not what this scene is supposed to mean anyways. So if that is the point, then I concede my case. the rest, I just like how everything comes together logically, right? There's really nothing for me to say, why was this scene sort of like this? This made no sense, yada yada yada. Everything from the initial conflict to all the things that they're saying, it makes perfect sense, right? For instance, we see that even though, one small detail that I really like was when remember, I believe it was last episode or 2 episodes ago, Lewis was telling the carnivores to go at him with their full power, right? Because he doesn't want to be looked down upon. But in the end, it's revealed that indeed the carnivores are still holding back, because obviously just through your natural body type and whatnot, there's no way that a deer could have the same sort of the same sort of speed and strength as that of a tiger, right? So I did like how they revealed that in the end there, and even in the fight between Bill and Legoshi, right? So even though it seemed that Legoshi was having the upper hand, at the end of the day, it's a tiger versus a wolf, right? And the wolf is not going to win against a tiger in raw strength here. So him overpowering it also made complete sense. Like I was about to yell. Well, I think I did yell at the screen a little bit, like, Bill, why are you not doing anything? You're a tiger. You should be stronger than a wolf, right? And so in the end, they did indeed go for that point instead of some other kind of bullshit. So, that makes perfect sense. And I like that the anime is following, it's doing things properly, if you will. So, yeah, and really, I'm just really enjoying this all the way through, like the dialogue, the settings and whatnot. And it seems like it's not even a case where there's someone who is absolutely wrong or absolutely right. Everybody has their own demons and whatnot. So I do really enjoy this very much. And of course, its fundamentals are great as well. The animation, the actual storyboard scenes, right? The composition of the scenes and whatnot, and of course, the music is great. So, yeah, I'm loving this more and more. I do hope that more and more people can watch this. Honestly, even me personally, I almost did not watch this, right? Because I was a little bit put off by the initial designs of the characters, but I am totally on board, and this was a great decision to watch this for this season. So, there we go. That's my review of BEASTARS Episode 4. See you guys in the next one as well. Till then, bye-bye.